I love it. I love it. I love it. Look at this. This is the greatest thing I've ever seen.
Hey, I'm not surprised.
Hey, what's up the homies? Lay here for UFC Gambling Addicts, back again for another UFC full card breakdown and predictions video. Now this card isn't super exciting on paper. The main event is Michelle Waterson taking on Marina Rodriguez. It's not super exciting on paper, but we tune into these fights every week and we know these type of cards, they do seem to overachieve. So I do expect some good scraps. As always homies, make sure you head kick the like button, use your own techniques. Maybe you want to go Jiri Prochazka style, you know? Crazy, unorthodox techniques on the like button. Alright, let's jump into breaking these ones down. We've got Christian Aguilera taking on Carlston Harris, and we're going to start with Aguilera. So Aguilera is 1 win, 1 loss inside the UFC. His debut went beautifully, you know, got in there and basically wiped out Ivy. You know, it was real quick. Ivy kind of caught in the headlights, big occasion. Aguilera took full advantage of that debut. Now, most recently, he was submitted by Sean Brady. The groundwork, you know, Sean Brady really took advantage of his ability in that fight. The opponent, Carlston Harris, this guy seems to be a ground fighter. You know, he likes to take you to the mat. He's looking to dominate you in that area of the fight. I wouldn't say he's at the level of Sean Brady. I don't expect him to completely obliterate Aguilera on the mat the way Brady did, but I do expect him to be able to take down Aguilera and maybe have a good debut here. I'm not super confident because if Aguilera can show us, look, he's not as good as Brady and he can work back to his feet and be able to tee off, then Aguilera has a chance. But I am favouring the grappler in this one. So I'm going to take Carlston Harris to use those takedowns and win a decision. My numbers, I'd put Carlston Harris around -170. And let's check the actual odds. Yeah, Carlston Harris -150, -160. Aguilera +120 up to +140. Completely agree. You know, I'm slightly favouring the newcomer. But Aguilera does have a chance. He has to work back to his feet. You know, so yeah, I'm going to side with the newcomer. Alright, moving into the next one. We've got Tafon Nchukwi taking on Jun Yong Park. And we're going to start with Tafon. So Tafon, this guy, pretty dangerous. You know, let's be honest. This guy has power. He's only 5-0 as a pro. Just starting out, man. But you can already see a lot of power. You don't want to get caught by this guy. Against Jamie Pickett in his UFC debut, I was expecting a little bit more. Maybe a finish. But he got the win. You know, credit to him, he got the win. The opponent, Jun Yong Park. His debut didn't go too great. But since then, we have to give this guy some credit. He's put in some good performances against Marc-Andre. And especially against John Phillips. John Phillips got absolutely smashed by Hamzat. And it was quite nasty to see Park do that. Because it's like, he said to John Phillips, alright, that happened to you, I'm going to do it again. You know, and that's nasty. I have to be honest with you guys, it's not often that I change my mind on a prediction. When I first looked at this matchup, I was leaning towards Tafon. You know, I was looking at the power. He's a prospect, you know. Kind of expect him to go through Park, but there's a lot of muscle on this guy's frame. And Jun Yong Park has been good with his grappling recently. If he can take down Tafon in round 2 and round 3, he could potentially drown him. Like I said, man, it's not often that I change my mind, so I could be wrong. Maybe Tafon goes out there and he looks great, powerful, you know. But I'm going to take Park, man. I've got a feeling that he's going to implement a good game plan here with takedowns. And he might finish it too. So I'm going to take a round 3 stoppage for Jun Yong Park. My numbers, I'd put Park -130, Tafon +100. You do have to keep it kind of close because, you know, Tafon is a beast. And the actual numbers, we've got Tafon -130, -140. Park in the plus. It's one of those ones, man, where if Park gets it done the way I think he gets it done, you take that slight plus, you know, you take it to the bank, but it's still quite a dangerous one, man. I'm going to take Park. I'm going to take Park, guys. I know a lot of you are going to be taking Tafon too, so yeah, it should be a fun one. Ryan Benoit taking on Adashev. This is a pick'em. In my opinion, this is a straight pick'em. If you put your money on Ryan Benoit, you could cash. If you put your money on Adashev, you could cash. Ryan Benoit is primarily a Muay Thai practitioner. He has got some good experience. He's fought guys like Sergio Pettis. He's fought guys like Brandon Morono. But if you look at his last two matchups, it just doesn't look violent enough, in my opinion. I took him against Tim Elliott, and it was just, you know, if he just got a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more violent, he could have won that matchup. But then again, you know, I remember some people taking Tim Elliott and they even felt that he probably lost that fight too. It was really close. But the point I'm making is there wasn't enough violence in his techniques. Now, Adashev, this guy is 0 wins, 2 losses inside the UFC. His back is against the wall. You know, he got slept in his debut, and then he basically got outclassed by Sumadaji. Now, he did clip Sumadaji in that fight, but it wasn't enough. You know, ultimately, over 15 minutes, Sumadaji just looked like Sumadaji. Like I said, guys, in my opinion, this one's a straight pick'em. I'm going to take Adashev. I think if he mixes in some grappling with some kickboxing, he could potentially win a close decision against Ryan Benoit. But of course, the flip side is Ryan Benoit wins that close decision. His last 2 fights have been pretty close. Interested to know what you guys think though. You know, are you going to ride with Benoit or are you taking Adashev? My numbers, I'd keep them real close. Adashev -120. Ryan Benoit +110. And the actual numbers, we've got Ryan Benoit -150. Adashev +120, +130. That's interesting, you know. So a lot of people are fading Adashev. They're not really liking what they're seeing so far in the UFC. It's understandable, you know, the guy has been slept. And then he got outclassed by Sumadaji. But this one, man, if you can't put in a good shift against Ryan Benoit, you may have to go. You know, you just may have to go. It's a close one. You know, who are you guys taking on this one? Alright guys, we've got Mike Trizano taking on Ludovic Klein. I like this matchup. Let's start with Mike Trizano. Mike Trizano, 2 wins, 1 loss inside the UFC. Seems to be primarily a kickboxer. If you remember against Luis Pena, the low kick of Mike Trizano, very noticeable in that fight. Against Grant Dawson, the story was quite different. Grant, takedown after takedown. That was the last time we saw Mike Trizano. It was 2 years ago against Grant Dawson. He should have evolved a bit since then. It's going to be interesting to see how he deals with a guy like Ludovic Klein. Now, if you don't know who Ludovic Klein is, this guy had an awesome debut. Completely sent Shane Young to the shadow realm. His boxing is pretty powerful, pretty effective. But one thing this guy likes to do, he likes to kick you in the head out of nowhere. You know, he's really a dangerous guy with the striking. I mentioned in my last breakdown about guys using technique but not putting violence in their technique. You don't have that problem with Ludovic Klein. This guy has brilliant kickboxing technique and it's violent. It's going to put you away if you're not careful. Both of these guys, in my opinion, are primarily kickboxers. And if I'm picturing that type of fight, I lean way more towards Ludovic Klein. Now, when you visit the grappling side of this matchup, maybe Mike Trizano has an edge there. But I would disagree with that too. You know, nothing really points to that. You just kind of assume that if Mike Trizano isn't kickboxing, he's going to be doing something else and having success with it. Not necessarily. You know, Ludovic Klein could be the better grappler here too. Overall, I'm just liking Ludovic Klein way more than Mike Trizano. My numbers, I'd put Ludovic Klein at least a 2-1 favourite. Maybe a little bit higher than that. I'd put him around minus 220. And the actual numbers, yeah, we've got Ludovic Klein minus 240 up to minus 250. A lot of people liking what he did to Shane Young. You know, I took Shane Young in that one. I remember speaking about Klein's head kicks, thinking, you know, this guy, he likes to kick you in the head. And then he got in there, man, and it was just, yeah, it was Ludovic Klein. He showed up, and I expect him to show up again in this one. Phil Hawes taking on Kyle Daukaus. Man, it's a difficult one, guys. It really is. Phil Hawes has only been impressive so far. His debut was clean, powerful. It gets you excited to see the next fight, right? Against Nasruddin, though, he didn't do the same thing. He didn't sleep Nasruddin. But you still have to give this man credit. He had a plan B, right? Was the plan B as exciting, as impressive as plan A? No, it's not. But this guy still has a plan B. It's still a way to win. He put Nasruddin up against the fence and basically clinched him for a long time. So that could be a way that he deals with Kyle Daukaus. But then you think about Kyle Daukaus and his BJJ. This guy has pretty decent BJJ. It could be a problem for Phil Hawes if they go to the mat. Now the striking, when you think about who's going to get put out in round one, maybe that's going to be Kyle Daukaus. But outside of round one, it could get quite interesting on the feet. Overall, man, I think it's another pick'em. I'm not confident, but I'm going to take Phil Hawes. I took him in the debut. I went against him with Nasruddin, and what he showed me was a plan B. So I'm expecting the same thing, you know, whether he TKOs Daukaus or has that plan B backup. My numbers, man, I'm keeping them real close. I'm going to put Phil Hawes. Let's go minus 110 each side, man, because I think this one's going to be a good one. And we've got Kyle Daukaus minus 120, Phil Hawes plus 100, plus 110. Yeah, spot on. A lot of people laying money on Kyle. A lot of people laying money on Phil. It's keeping the line close. Rightfully so. Alright, last fight on the prelim card. We've got Ben Rothwell taking on Philippe Lins. Let's not spend too long on this one, man. I do expect Ben's output to be a problem for Philippe Lins. The only problem, though, betting on Ben Rothwell is like, it's dangerous, man. You know, you look at the way Tybura beat him up. You look at the way Andrei Arlovski beat him up. Even Stefan Struve, you know, he was doing good in that fight. And got the clinch and, yeah, he finished Stefan Struve, but again, man, you know, that fight wasn't going his way. He did beat OSP, but OSP isn't even a heavyweight. So, yeah, man, I am leaning towards Ben Rothwell. I haven't really liked Philippe Lins so far in the UFC. Tanner Boza is more of a karate guy. And his hands look like, you know, it looked like something that Mike Tyson would do to you, you know. So, yeah, I am going to lean on Ben Rothwell here. His output, his boxing output should be enough. I'm just not going to put juice on that, you know. It's Ben Rothwell at the end of the day. My numbers, I'd put Ben minus 150, around that area. And the actual numbers, Ben Rothwell minus 110, minus 120. Philippe Lins exactly the same. So yeah, even I'm speaking about it being, you know, it's Ben Rothwell, but I'm putting in minus 150. So kind of contradicting myself a little bit. Yeah, I'm not going to be betting on this one. And if you guys are, let me know how it goes down. You know, if you see Philippe Lins winning this matchup, what's it going to be like? You know, is he going to stop Ben Rothwell? Is he going to land that low kick? Maybe take Ben Rothwell to the mat? I just favour the UFC veteran here, Ben Rothwell. Alright, homies, you know what time it is. If you waited to smoke with me, amen. If you've been smoking this whole time, double amen. If you're not a smoker but you enjoy the smoke breaks, triple amen, gang. Let's go. Hope all of you guys are doing blessed, having a great day, having a great week. This week, man, I want to speak a little bit about UFC gambling again. You know, we spoke about that a couple weeks ago. And I am going to do philosophies and topics and, you know, we speak about anything in the smoke break. But this week, man, I want to speak a little bit about what we're all doing. You know, every week, if you're gambling on these fights, we're all doing something. You know, we're all gambling, but let's dive into what we're really doing, right? I've come to the realization, guys, that we're just scouts. That's all we are. We're scouts, right? I don't know how many of you watch football. And when I say football, I mean soccer. If you're a fan of soccer, if you've got a team, you know, whether it's Barcelona, Real Madrid, or whoever you follow. I know most of my viewing and listening is American viewers. But this may happen for American football too. I'm not too sure. Every team has scouts. You know, they have scouts. And these people will basically write reports on other players. Players that do play for you and players that don't play for you. You know, these people are basically paid to tell you how good someone is currently and how good someone can be. You know? That's what a scout really is. And if you think about it, if you really think about it, man, all of us are really, we're just MMA scouts, you know? That's what we are. Every week we take a fighter report, right? If I said to you guys, right, take Ludovic Klein, take his scout report on what you have on Ludovic Klein and put it up against Mike Trizano. Take both of those scout reports and put them together. And then imagine them playing off against each other. You know, that's how we make a pick. You know, we're just scouts, guys. That's all we are. Another word for it would be handicapper, gambler, MMA bettor. You know, but really what it is, you're an MMA scout. Kind of trippy way to look at it, but that is what you're doing, man. That's what you're doing. Every single week, that's what you're doing. You know, you go back last week, you take Jiri Prochazka's scout report, you put it up against Dom Reyes. Those are good scout reports to put against each other, man. And the fight happened that way, you know. Two good guys going to war. And the unorthodox scout report that isn't like other scout reports. You know, you look at Jiri's report. It's different, man. He's different to these other guys. And that sometimes that's going to work. It's going to work a lot of the time, I believe. But the hands down, that's in the report. You know, this guy's fighting with his hands down. You are going to be able to connect with his chin. You just got to be the right guy to put him out. But that's what I wanted to speak about in this smoke break, man. It's the realization of what are we doing every week? We're just putting up reports against each other and picking. And if we can do that over 51% or over 50% of the time, you're going to make money, right? If you're, say you pick a single bet or a double bet, okay, I'm going to pick this report and that report this week. If you can get those two right, and then next week you get them right again, and say you go nearly a whole month of getting your reports right, you're going to make a lot of money in MMA gambling. It really just comes down to how you're looking at it and how you're gambling too. You know, are you liking 8 different guys on this card and you're putting them all together? That's a long shot. It's a long shot. And people are good enough. You are good enough at doing that. You know, I see many parlays that you guys send me on Instagram, and it's like you hit a 6-fight parlay and it's like, wow, it's great capping. You're a great scout. That's beautiful work. But what if you took 1 or 2 out of that 6 and loaded up more money? You know, we are only going to get better as gamblers, but it's just being self-aware that That's what you really are. You're a scout. Last week, I took Michelidas, Gija Chikadze and Strickland plus 200. I posted that on my YouTube channel membership, so we hit that. We are on a win streak again. Hopefully, we can hit 1 or 2 scout reports on this one and continue that win streak. You know, that's the goal for me. I've got to pick 1 or 2 lines on this card that I believe is the best lines to be on. That's my job for this week. Alright guys, let's get into breaking down the rest of this card. Amanda Ribas taking on Angela Hill. Let's start with Amanda. So Amanda is primarily a jiu-jitsu practitioner. Really high level jiu-jitsu. You know, you look at the way she's taking these girls down. Even took down Mackenzie Dern. You know, and we've got Mackenzie Dern up there with her own grappling game. She was stopped by Marina Rodriguez. You know, that happened on the feet. As for her striking, I don't want to say Amanda has bad striking. It's just very evident that she's always going to be the better grappler. Or nearly always the better grappler. Angela Hill. This girl's been around for some time, it feels like. She's had quite a few fights in the UFC. She's coming off that main event loss to Michelle Waterson. It was a close fight. You know, it was a close one. She kind of fatigued, you know. Going on later into that fight, gas tank kind of slowed down. Now, Angela Hill does have some good wins, but most of her losses are to better opposition. You know, you look at the win streak she had, beating Lima, beating Cyphers, beating Carnelosi. You know, these are good wins for Angela Hill to pick up. But it's clear to see that there's a level of competition that just seems to beat Angela Hill. And I would regard Amanda Ribas as part of that competition, a part of that level. Her grappling, in my opinion, levels above Angela Hill. And that's what she has to do. She has to take her to the mat, nullify her, potentially look for a submission. So I'm going to take Amanda Ribas to implement her game plan and basically win that way. My numbers, I'd go minus 180 on Amanda Ribas, plus 150 on Angela Hill. Yeah, the numbers are spot on there. You know, we've got Amanda Ribas minus 180, minus 190. Angela Hill plus 150, all the way up to plus 160. You kind of do see Angela Hill having a couple minutes, looking good with her boxing and her kicks. You can kind of see that. I don't think it's going to be complete domination from Amanda Ribas, but I do believe the majority of the story could be Ribas with the takedowns, and that's why I'd put her around minus 170, minus 180. So yeah, I do agree with those numbers. Alright guys, we've got Diego Ferreira taking on Gregor Gillespie. Really decent matchup. Let's start with the Brazilian, Diego. So Diego is primarily a jiu-jitsu fighter. Really high level BJJ. His striking has come a long way. You know, if you look at his striking say 5 years ago, and then look at his striking in his last 2 or 3 fights, massive difference. He's become more well-rounded. You know, the striking and grappling together. He's a difficult guy to beat. The opponent, Gregor Gillespie, primarily a wrestler, super high level wrestling. Both of these guys are primarily grapplers. It's just a different kind of art. Diego Ferreira is better at choking you out, breaking your arm. Gregor Gillespie is better at taking you to the mat, but then kind of smothering you. You know? It's not to say that Gregor can't ground and pound you or he can't finish you with his own submission. It's just to say that his wrestling ability is much better than his jiu-jitsu ability. Same as Diego Ferreira. His jiu-jitsu ability is way better than his wrestling ability, but he's still able to do the other. If this fight stays on the feet, if it stays kickboxing, I do prefer Diego Ferreira. But if you look at what happened to Gregor Gillespie against Kevin Lee, I don't think he's going to stand and strike for too long. Usually Gregor will use his striking to set up the takedown. The only time he didn't, he got sent to the shadow realm. So he's going to look to take this fight to the mat. despite Diego being a really good BJJ practitioner. You know, you're asking yourself the question, even if Gregor does take down Diego, can Diego submit him? I wouldn't say no, but I would say outside of round 1, it may be more difficult. So ultimately, I'm seeing Diego potentially round 1 or bust, because if he doesn't get that submission or that TKO, it could become a conditioning battle. Against Beneil Dariush, he slowed down as that fight went on. I don't think Gregor's going to slow down. You know, I think he's got better conditioning. So for those reasons, I'm going to take Gregor Gillespie via decision. My odds, I'd put Gregor around minus 200. I just think if Diego doesn't finish this fight early, you know, it's going to be a conditioning battle. That's how I see this one playing out. And the actual numbers, we've got Gregor minus 170. So more respect going on Diego than I'm anticipating myself. And it's fair, you know, he has got a black belt and he is the better striker. So maybe some people are looking at Diego thinking, do you know what? This is the spot. But I think outside of round 1, it might not be the spot. So yeah, I'm going to side with Gregor. Maurice Greene taking on Marcos Rogero de Lima. We're going to start with Maurice. So Maurice is primarily a kickboxer, likes to use a bit of jiu-jitsu too. If you take this guy down, he will try to throw up a triangle, try to exploit your ground game. As for his kickboxing, he likes to keep you at length with his kicks. In round 1, he's pretty good at doing that. But as the fight ticks on, the opponent seems to be able to close range, be able to land punches as the fight ticks on against Maurice Greene. Now Marcos de Lima, this guy is a black belt in BJJ, but he has been submitted a few times. I wouldn't necessarily say Maurice Greene is going to be that guy who submits Lima. It's kind of difficult to predict who has the better grappling. Gun to my head, I would say Lima. But because he's been submitted a few times, you kind of get a bit, you know, nervous thinking about this one going to the mat. The striking should be pretty close, at least early on. But I think one weapon that Lima has that he should use here is the low kick. Look to utilise that low kick the way he did against Romanov for the time that fight was on the feet. And the hands, you know, I think Lima has more power in the hands too. So yeah, I'm favouring the Brazilian on this one. I think Lima is maybe the safer pick. I also want to mention one thing, guys. Last week, I mentioned Randa Marcos being a yo-yo fighter who kind of lost her touch with the win-loss. Lima is the new OG yo-yo fighter. If you look at this guy's record, he's traded wins for losses going back to 2015 now. You know, he's flown under the radar. You know, he's taken Randa Marcos' belt and he is in order for a win. So if Lima wins this one, he is the yo-yo champion officially. My numbers, I'd put Lima around minus 160. I feel kind of confident, but just because he's been subbed a few times and Greene may just be hungry for this one, man. I do favour Lima. And the actual numbers, Lima touching minus 200. Kind of feels like more people are fading Maurice Greene though. You know, that's how it feels here. Neal Magny taking on Jeff Neal. This is a low-key, decent matchup on this main card. Let's start with Neal Magny. This guy has a lot of experience. He's always going to have the reach advantage. So if he can box you from a distance, he's always going to beat you. There is a way to beat Neal Magny though. It has to be up close. You know, whether you're landing low kicks up close or punches to the head, you have to be within range of Neal Magny. Now Magny has chosen to use a bit of his grappling recently. He even initiated the clinch a few times against Michael Chiesa, which was really questionable, but if you look at the fights prior to that, he has chosen to grapple. So it wouldn't surprise me if he chose to try and take down Jeff Neal in this matchup. Now, if we're looking at Jeff Neal so far in the UFC, this guy has been very impressive. You know, his hands of steel is this guy's name. It's hard to disagree. If he connects with you, you go down. You look at the head kick against Camacho. Beautiful technique. One thing that stands out to me in looking at the reports of both guys, who remembers the takedown defense against Belal Muhammad? Really impressive takedown defense. So even if Neal Magny chooses to try to grapple the way he has been recently, I think Jeff Neal may surprise some people. So then you look at the striking. Do you favour Neal Magny to kickbox from a distance? Or do you favour Jeff Neal to get close and to land some power? Neal Magny hasn't got the movement of Stephen Thompson. So I'm going to favour Jeff Neal this time to get close and to land power. My numbers, I'd put Jeff around -170. Put Neal Magny +140. And the actual numbers, Jeff Neal -190, -180. You like to see it. I mean, Jeff Neal, he had that fight against Stephen Thompson. It didn't go too well. You know, he was basically outclassed. There's no other way to say it. You know, you're asking yourself, is Neal Magny the man to do that again here? Can he do that again here? I'm going to say no, but I'm interested to find out. You know, this one should be a good scrap. Alright guys, co-main event, we've got Donald Cowboy Cerrone taking on Alex Morono. Now this one, man, you got to be careful with this one. Because my heart says Donald Cerrone. And my head kind of agrees with my heart. But you've got to still be careful, man. We know who Donald Cerrone is. Been around for a long time. You can't teach him anything new. He can do it all. He can head kick you. His grappling is seriously seasoned. He's a veteran, you know, tough as nails. It's Donald Cerrone, man. Guy's a legend. But the opponent, Alex Morono, I'm sure this guy would absolutely love to have the name Donald Cerrone on his resume. He really would. You look at the work he did against Anthony Pettis in round 1. It was good work, you know, good takedown. The striking, you know, the taekwondo. It is good enough. Alex Morono really isn't a bad guy. I kind of picture Donald Cerrone just schooling him. You know, just teaching him a lesson on how to kickbox. But I'm picturing like a good Donald Cerrone, man. It all depends which one turns up. You know, how excited can you be to fight Alex Morono? When you've been fighting for this long and you fought guys like Conor McGregor, Jorge Masvidal, Diaz. You know, you've had so many great fights. Ferguson, Pettis. How excited can you get to fight Alex Morono? And that's why I say be careful, man. My heart says Cerrone. My head says Cerrone. I'm going to take Cerrone, man, but I'm not going to lay money. I'm just going to sit back and watch this as a fan, a hardcore fan of Donald Cerrone. I hope he can get it done. But man, Alex Morono, this guy's going to be hungry, man. He's going to be hungry. My numbers, I keep them real close. I put Donald Cerrone -120. Alex, slight plus. And the actual numbers, we've got Cerrone -180, -190 to school Alex Morono. I hope it happens. I'll be honest, I hope it happens. We get that Donald Cerrone step in there, just fierce. Just schools Morono. It would be awesome to watch. All depends though. It all depends which Cerrone turns up. And that's why you got to be careful, man. I'm going to favour Cerrone. Just no money. Just no money on this one. Alright, main event, homies. Make sure you head kick the like button or use whatever technique you like. We've got Marina Rodriguez taking on Michelle Waterson. So let's start with Marina. Marina is primarily a Muay Thai striker. Really nasty, you know. Elbows, knees, kicks, boxing. She's a violent striker. Most girls choose to grapple Marina, and it's clear to see why. You take away what she's good at, and that's striking. Amanda Ribas was able to grapple a little bit, but as the fight went on, Marina became very dominant. You know, she started that second round, stayed on the feet, looked good. Michelle Waterson will have to wrestle at some point in this fight, because if it stays kickboxing for 25 minutes, you're kind of favouring Marina. Now, that's not to say that Michelle Waterson can't compete with the kickboxing. She definitely will be able to compete, but not inside the first 5 minutes. Not inside the first 10. If you're kickboxing for 10 minutes with Marina, it's going to be quite one-sided, in my opinion. However, round 3, round 4, round 5, with the right tactics, takedowns, looking to fatigue Marina, Michelle Waterson does have a chance in winning this main event. I'm on a 5 main event win streak, stretching back to Francis, Vettori, Whittaker, Usman, Prochaska. I'm going to take Waterson here, guys, and if the streak ends and you take Marina, credit to you. But I've got a feeling that Michelle Waterson's going to win this one. Like I said, in the first 10 minutes, I think it's going to look pretty good for Marina. But as time ticks on, as both girls start to slow down, I think the skill of Michelle with her kicks, you're going to start to see that a little bit more. And hopefully the takedown too. So I'm going to favour Michelle Waterson in most likely a close 25-minute fight. My numbers, I'd put Michelle slight favourite, -120, Marina +110. And the actual numbers, we've got Marina Rodriguez -200. Wow. I mean, her striking, man, her striking is violent. You know, I'm not disputing that. What I am disputing is her ability to maintain it over 25 minutes. That's what I'm going to dispute here. Now, if she wins the dispute, if she proves me wrong, credit to her. I will note that down for her that she's got 25 minutes in the bag. I know Michelle Waterson does. I think as the fight ticks on, she's going to look better and better. Early on, I favour the Brazilian. Later on, I favour Michelle. Could be a real close split decision. But yeah, that's my prediction this time. I'm going to take the underdog in the main event. Alright homies, my Instagram will be in the description. Make sure you drop your underdogs, your singles, your doubles, your parlays, all of that good stuff. Alright guys, catch you on the next one. Peace.